just an ass.
Jerry Petito taught the class.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
Loves the answer, the greener grass.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jerry Petito Show on HamiltonRadio.net. Everyone out there who knows me knows that I'm the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. And everyone out there that really knows me knows that I'm a Christian and I love God. And my book is filled with God. Okay, this book was God inspired. So if anyone out there is offended by my cover, just remember this. The word ass is in the Bible and it refers to the donkey in me. Okay, guys? So even Christians have a sense of humor. So, hello, girlfriend.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Okay, tell everyone who you are, first of all.
I am Marian Costello. I actually am a show host as well. I have a...
No, stop there, because you know what? I don't want you to tell all that. I'm going to read it in this poem.
Oh, you wrote a poem about me.
I have a poem about you, and I just realized I would rather everyone know everything about you first and foremost from this, because I think it's really cool. All right? Guys, I'm going to read her poem first. All right.
I love it.
Okay. I met my guest interviewed on a show, Ms. Ava Holly, who we both know. Ava's casual chat. You got to check her out. Getting us together is her purpose, no doubt. Marian Costello is a name I won't forget. After talking a bit, I was really glad we met. As I'm writing your poem, listening to your CD, amazing chakra music, cleansing my mind to be free. Extreme chakra cleansing for a supercharged life, you titled your CD in hopes of relieving strife. You also co-authored with some of the best, Jack Canfield's book, Road to Success. It didn't stop there. 2 awards you have won. The Hollywood red carpet you walked and got it done. A holistic health practitioner and a licensed masseuse, new life through balanced living. Neo Zoe supports those views. Host of health and wellness show, co-hosting with others as well. You also have a YouTube channel, A Woman with Much to Tell. You also sing professionally. Any genre works for you. Expressing yourself in song is what you are called to do. Let's talk about some common ground, some normalities that make you real. The human side that we all have, what makes you tick, what makes you feel. Your guilty pleasures, as you would say, playing poker and slots at the casino one day. It doesn't stop there. Guilty pleasures you dream. The highest on your list for you, homemade ice cream. You love to play jokes on people, something we both do well. Going through life without humor is a life living in hell. The favorite subject in your office is taboo and misunderstood. You talk about bowel movements, about doing a body good. You're also Italian and love to cook. Just one pot wonders. Please write that book. You hate cleaning up, washing pots and pans. I'll tell you that I'll keep that a secret from all of your fans. You have the gift of gab, but listen just as well. People trust their secrets, for they know you wouldn't tell. Always be kind to everyone is your motto you go by. You know that you're not perfect, but the good Lord knows you try. The legacy you want to leave before the day you bail. Believe in yourself. Always be you, and you can never fail. This is for you, girlfriend.
Oh, my God. Thank you so much. That's fantastic.
That's for you. I hope I did it justice.
You did. You're going to make me cry.
No crying. Not tonight.
No. Thank you.
So, first of all, I was so glad I got to meet you and be on Ava's casual chat with you. Your smile alone was just so welcoming and warm. Beautiful.
Thank you.
So I said as much as I could possibly say in this poem about her, guys, but I really do now want you to take the floor a little bit here. Tell everybody what you want them to know, because this is one amazing, empowered woman. And here's the thing I want to say about her as well. You wouldn't even know it when you meet her. I didn't know all these things just from meeting you that day. So a bit humble. Go, girlfriend.
Thank you. Well, my journey started where I was working in corporate, just like everybody does. You get up in the morning, you do your thing. I did that for a long time. And I also sang professionally, and I had my own business and did karaoke and band work and things like that. And one day I just didn't feel well. So I go to a doctor. They try to diagnose you. They give you a pharmaceutical medication. And unfortunately, I became allergic to it. But that allergy changed my life.
Fortunately, you became allergic to it.
Yes, exactly,
Yes.
exactly. And what it forced me to do was to find out how to save my own life because it wasn't working the other way. And when that happened, alternative methods were kind of seeming like they were hokey. You know, nobody believed in them. They didn't really know about them. So I started going to school, and I fell in love with the science. And as crazy as I thought something sounded, I did it, and I started feeling better. And then I started incorporating everything. And then I got this thirst for knowledge saying, if I can help myself, do you know how many other people I could possibly help?
I've talked to you about this a minute. How long ago was that?
That was in 2000, 18 years ago.
So I want to share something with you, and we really haven't really talked too much.
No.
But go back now, 27 years ago, when I was 30 years old. We didn't have Google, we didn't have
Right.
computers, none of that. So I had cancer, but thank God for that. Okay, so I was really sick, and I made a decision then, not knowing what was out there, but I knew I didn't want to trust. And I have doctors and nurses in my family, and I love them, but the medical industry sometimes doesn't do us justice.
Right.
And I knew then not to trust that, and I went away and got certified in Tennessee, and that started my journey. So I've been all over the world traveling on
Wow.
health tours. I've even been to Russia when it was communist on a health
Oh,
tour
wow.
with Lenox Hill Hospital. So imagine going back in time now, where I had to do all the research myself,
Yep.
and I still believed in it, and now I help people as well. So hearing you say this, I'm kind of giggling inside because I'm like, well, 2000, you had computers, right?
Yes, exactly.
So the knowledge you learned, isn't it unbelievable?
It is unbelievable. And a lot of things that were on the computer really weren't there, or they weren't credible, because everything is anecdotal
That's right.
evidence. And so I had to find my own journey, and I had to find out what worked. Some things worked, some things didn't. But what I found out, putting this in practice, not everything works for everybody. So you have to go ahead and do that. But it took me on a wonderful journey. Like I said, I kept educating myself and falling in love with all the different modalities, became a Reiki master. And from there, I learned reflexology. And I thought reflexology was only the feet. And then I found out it was the hands and the body and everywhere. It's everywhere. And then from there, learned about homeopathy, complex homeopathy, constitutional homeopathy, learned muscle testing, learned nutritional deficiencies, became a nutritionist, fell in love with that. And it changed my life, each different modality. Then I went into massage, and now I specialize in medical massage. And I customize massages for everybody who walks in the door. It might not be the same massage twice that you get, you know? And it's because I want to see people heal. And my own personal journey helped me heal, where people were telling me it was impossible. It's not going to happen. Why are you relying on this? And I kept believing in myself and believing in myself. And the more I did it, next thing you know, the universe, as I would say, and God had a different plan for me. And my corporate appearance, I'll say, after over 30 years of full corporate,
Wow.
said that's it, it's enough. And so I decided that, you know what, I've been doing this for so long, I was doing it part-time, said I'm going to open up my own wellness center, and I did that. And it's been one of the most rewarding experiences when you can help people. And even my own mom, I mean, she had autoimmune like lupus, and she had it for 38 years, my mother. And she was starting to have complications. And I would say to her every day, it was joking around, but I said, when you're done taking your dose of rat poison, give me a call. And it became an education process. And one day I said, I work with your doctor, and I'm just going to work on the nutrition side. All that medical stuff, that's up to the medical doctors. And I'm proud to say 18 months, no matter what I told her to do, no matter how crazy it sounded, she did it. And within 18 months, she went in full remission. And this June will be 11 years in full remission from lupus.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And
That's
that
beautiful.
keeps me going to say, okay, now who's the next person? Who's the next person? You can change your life if you put your mind to it. And that became my passion. And then as I had my business, I get this call and saying, we want to do an author interview. And I thought it was a telemarketer because everybody calls you when you open a business,
Yes.
Didn't believe it, went through one thing after another. And before I knew it, I wrote my chapter of my story, and I titled it Believe in Yourself, because you have to. And next thing you know, I was on the red carpet with Jack Canfield. I won the Quilly Award, which I would have never expected. I thought I'd faint, by the way, when I heard my name. Got out there, did an interview, and also did other radio shows, too, that was about health and wellness. And while I was out on the red carpet, not once, but I'm lived to say twice,
That's right.
a Thursday night and a Friday night, back to back, and won the XP Award for Media and Communications with that. So I was so excited, and then wanted to do other projects, and it's like everything started opening up. People started literally coming to my door, and I met the wonderful Tony Camillo, and he is the producer, Grammy Award-winning producer and arranger of Gladys Knight's Midnight Train to Georgia.
Wow, girlfriend.
Yeah, and he did all kinds of Motown and was coming to me for healing, and next thing you know, he's like, I think you could still sing, like, let's do something. So he ended up writing a beautiful song called Helping Others. And Rich Shalanda, he was a brilliant songwriter, producer, and musician. He went ahead and helped record it and helped write the song as well. And then we did another one called God Loves You, which I absolutely love and adore. And while I was sitting there, I said to Richie, you know, people come into my practice, and I said, I'm getting very dissatisfied. And he said, well, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, every time I see an illness, I asked everybody, what do you do to relax? Take 5 minutes for yourself every day. They said, I don't. I said, well, what if you tried meditation? And they answered me, if I tried meditation, I'd be asleep in 5 minutes, you know? So I decided to say, what if you could meditate with your eyes open? So this way you won't fall asleep. So when I talked to him about it, we studied all the chakras, and he was very familiar with them. And what we found out is that every chakra has a musical tone to it. So he wrote all of the tracks, and then I wrote all of the scripts, which were neuro-linguistic programming, affirmations, and how to help yourself. This isn't one of those DVDs that come out and say, hey, there's fluted in music and there's birds chirping and I'm telling you to feel good about yourself, because I could tell you that's not it. This is getting to the core of every chakra. You might even be surprised to know there's a couple dance tracks on there.
So we're talking about this one here.
Yes.
Because I love this, okay? I listened to this just last night. I love this CD, guys. Beautiful, beautiful.
And what we did to have people with their eyes open, Jay Petsko, he's a wonderful graphic designer and does so many things, and great friends. He made kaleidoscopes and color-coded them to each chakra. And they're pulsating to the tracks. So as you're watching them, you just kind of lose yourself. And next thing you know, you're meditating. Because you lose it. It's a little trippy, you know. You're going, wow, what's going on? And then next thing you know, you don't even need the DVD portion of it, you know, because now you've learned how to meditate.
So I have a question about that. So
Yeah.
we're both poker players, but we'll keep that a secret. Have you ever done that at the poker table? Because I might try it.
Shh.
Okay.
I can't let the casinos know that.
Listen, I think I'm going to try it.
But it is, but you know what it is once you become still within yourself, and it's funny that you brought up poker, because I have to tell you, when the Sands was around, now I'm dating myself because they imploded that, but I was invited to one of the first Texas Hold'em poker tournaments, and I didn't know much about it. So I went to a VFW hall with all men that play sports, and I said, teach me poker. And they said, oh, you're not going to get it. Well, I did. And then I found this book, which reminds me of your book, saying Good Girl's Guide to Badass Poker.
I love it.
Right. So I started reading this, right? And I started learning. And when I went to that poker tournament, I thought I was going to sit with my friends. And when I walked in, they had 2 baskets, and they said, the first one is for your table number, and the second one's for your seat number. We were nowhere around. There was probably 300 people in the room. So I sat down with a bunch of strangers, and I'm going, I don't even know if I could pull this off. But you know what I did? I went within, and I didn't really know how to play poker that well, but I started looking at everybody and watching their antics and what would give them away. And after a while, I found myself at the final table. I didn't win, but I did land up in 8th place.
All right, girlfriend.
I was so excited.
Yes, all right.
And then I got the addiction for that. No, I'm only kidding. But I was so excited. And I realized then, if you start believing in what you're doing and you start being very confident, I didn't even know what hands I was playing. I was just throwing chips on the table, and I was like, a big blind? I'm like, what's that? They're like, oh, you just have to put the maximum bet in. I was just asking questions. And people were getting upset with me at that table, like when I would win. And it was just from being within, having confidence, and just playing. I had the best time of my life, by the way. Yeah. And I love slot machines, too. That's the scary part.
No, I don't like that. I had a poker league called Midnight Owl Poker for about 10 years. Mercer County, Mattawan. It was amazing. And I used to tell everyone, this is not gambling because we sit, and I'm also a chess player. You sit there and you have to use your brain.
Absolutely.
But slots, I got to say, girlfriend, that is gambling.
Well, it is gambling, but you know what you do?
No, what do you do? Tell me.
I have to tell you this.
Tell me.
I was able to pretty much, I bought all these books, how to beat the odds at a casino, and I would read them all, right?
Okay.
So I would take some of the tips and apply them to see if it really worked. And they would put money on a card back then and say, oh, come on down, we'll give you like 50.
Right.
So I went to those slot machines, I put them in, and I was going to the ones where they were telling me where they should be the loosest slots, and I'd win like $50 and $100. Next thing you know, I got really into it because it was their money. Because that was the thing. I said, if I'm playing with their money, then I'll try it. Because I don't want my money. Because I'm a little selfish like that, right? So I turn around and I go in there, and I had made a clinical aromatherapy blend that I would put on my hands for uplifting and positivity. People looked at me like I was crazy. And before I put any money in, I was sitting there putting it on, and then I would put the card in, and then I would go up and I would hug the machine like Reiki, and they thought I had
need a video of that.
Oh my God. And then next thing you know, I would put it in and it hit, but this time it was like in the thousands of dollars, and I didn't know taxes were an issue then. You know, I didn't know anything. I was new to this. And it didn't become an addiction, but what was funny was I would watch other people play to see where those house odds were and play the opposite machines, and then I kept winning. And it was fun. It was really fun. But watching the slot host that would walk around the casino, watching me with this oil, hugging machines, watching people around me, you know, they stayed away from me, though. That's what the good thing was. They were like, stay away from her. But it was a lot of fun. And I just started guessing and then using your intuition just to say, you know, like if you're out at a store and you're hoping you get the first parking spot because it's pouring rain, a big thunderstorm, and it's like, God, let me just do this, or can I find it? It was like one of those moments, like, how can I make this work?
I would have been taking a video of you hugging that machine, okay?
I had my dad with me one time because he didn't believe that I did this, and one of my friends says, you have to watch her. And when I was doing all this, you know, he's sitting back watching me, and I think at that moment, he was like, this is not my daughter. But then after I won, this is my daughter. You know, it was one of those things.
Funny.
So it was funny. But it taught me, you know, how to have fun, teach me responsibility, because in a casino you have to be responsible. And then I tried, he played the poker machines, and for the first time he had won on those poker machines. I was so proud of him because I didn't know what I was doing on a poker machine, you know. And I didn't really play him. I just sat there and watched. And then I started watching the World Series of Poker on TV to learn how to play. Texas Hold'em was the thing. Then I started getting to like different poker games, and I liked it not for the winning sake. It was great when you won, but watching people and reading them and learning what made their being, and then that I just fell in love with that. That's what I like to do. And when people come in and they have an issue, what you don't fix emotionally and mentally, you manifest on yourself physically. So I could hear somebody talk all day long. It's what they're not saying that I'm paying attention to.
Well, when this is over, you're going to let me know what I'm not saying.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I would love
will.
that.
Yeah. And I could do that. And I love what I do, but I know that you're also into health coaching and all, because I was researching you as well, and I'm fascinated. I really am.
I cured myself of 2 cancers. I'm certified in fasting. I am now, as of November, a nutritional health coach.
Yay.
Yep. We'll talk about that also
Yes.
after the show. I'm ready to get out there because I had an injury in July, so now I'm doing better, and I'm ready to get out there with that. I help addicts, obviously. I help cancer patients, and I do life coaching, really, you know, which is really amazing. It's just gratifying, you know, when you can sit there and you know you've helped someone. That's what it is about, isn't it?
It is.
Like,
it really is.
Doesn't that just fulfill you to the max?
It does. And if you see them where they've been really sick, and then all of a sudden you see them enjoying life again, and they got their life back, I don't take credit for that, because I think everybody's responsible for their own life journey.
There you go.
And all I am is the tool to help them get to where they need to be. And that is my strong belief system. And I get my answers from God. There's no way, because sometimes when somebody's in front of me, I'm like, how did I come up with that? You know, and I don't sit there and people are like, what are you, psychic or something? I say, no, I just listen to intuition, and because I work with it every day, but I listen.
I want to talk to you about that, what you just said about getting your answers from God. So when I wrote this book, it was 25 years after. I'm going to use the words clean and sober, but I do not believe once an addict, always an addict. I do not believe we're powerless. I have a whole different take on addiction, and it is absolutely not a disease. So God said, write the book. And I laughed. I'm in my office, and I said, write it? now, all these years later, he said, write it. I didn't know why.
Right.
I saved a family member's life through this book, through
Oh,
God.
wow.
And I didn't
Yeah.
know that was why.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, so what God does is unbelievable in my life as well. You know, I'm not perfect, obviously, but I listen to everything he says and I try to apply it. And I tell everyone, it's choices. We
Yes.
all have choices to make. You are not a victim. You are not powerless. Okay, we could give you all the tools in the world. If you don't apply them, it's your choice.
Right. Absolutely. And it's your
I
choice
live
to
by that.
change.
That's right.
And even people who are sick, things happen.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. And
Yes.
there's genetics and there's things
No,
like that.
things happen, absolutely.
But it's a belief system. And I've seen people hide behind illnesses before, you know, because they were afraid to do something. And I always see fear as the big factor. And I'm like, instead of facing everything and running, why don't you face everything and rise, you know? And fear, I think, is one of the biggest things that I see is everybody, you know, a common denominator. And myself included, I have to say
Let's
that.
talk about fear. All right, so when you see fear, what do you think is I'm going to say fear factor. What do you think is their fear factor?
Well, their fear factor could be something that they're not even aware of. That could be an emotional trigger from childhood, whenever. It really can
Okay.
be. Fear, like for me, don't be around me if there's a big bug in the room and it could bite you. You might as well forget it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I love bugs and critters, but go ahead.
No, I know, but if they bite you, then,
Okay.
you know, I've had experiences there because of that, you know,
Yes.
so you become fearful. But fear, I think, is afraid of moving forward. Fear of failure, fear of, I'm not going to make it. And I'm like, if you fail at something, you know what? That's the best thing because it makes you
There you
learn
go.
from that experience, right?
There you go.
And then you can just build yourself up and do it all over. Do you know how many I mean, people look at me and they're like, oh, you have this, you have that. Sounds perfect. I said, do you know how many things I failed at in life? I mean, really. I mean, remember Mary Kay Cosmetics? It's still around.
I had a client, she's in her 80s now. She was a nail client of mine with the salon. I had a beauty salon back in the day, and she was one of their highest reps.
Right. But
Yes.
me, I got those pink cases. I was so
You
proud.
are so funny. You
right?
are so funny.
I did it. I said, I'm going to go out. I'm going to make millions. I was going to own that pink Cadillac.
You're so funny.
Oh, I fell on my face.
She did. She owned the pink Cadillac. She
and,
did.
and some people really can, but you know what? For me, I fell on my face. That was
Okay.
that was like a big failure. But then I would sit there and say, okay, what am I going to do now? And I'm very optimistic when I go into something, and people around me say, what are you, crazy? And I'm like, but if you don't try, I'd rather have tried and failed.
That's right.
And I failed miserably. I'm telling you, it's several things. And then I'm here at the road to success, and I'm like, wow, I finally got something to work, you know? And
when
it's
I'm
fun.
when I'm working with people and they, you know, I try to give them advice. This is what they say to me. Oh my gosh, how do you know so much? I said there's only one reason I know so much is because I made so many mistakes.
Absolutely.
Because we couldn't possibly know, right?
No, I've done
You know, and the thing about making mistakes is it actually makes you a better person if you take those mistakes and you move forward.
Absolutely.
See, that's the most important thing, right?
Oh, yeah. And I've made many. But
Okay.
you know what? Mistakes are a good thing because you learn from them.
Absolutely.
And you learn what not to do for the next time. And then if you do it again,
I was
because I've
gonna
done
say,
that.
and I've done it again.
I have done it again. And then you're just
To
like,
make sure it was a mistake.
oh, absolutely. And then I'm like, okay, that really was a mistake. And sometimes I've done it a third time, as bad as that seems. And then I'm like, okay, I can't do it like this again. And then you sit there and you pull within every ounce going, all right, well, how do I think about it? But then when you start going internally for answers and you just stay quiet,
That's right.
all of a sudden answers start appearing. And it might not be in your head. You just might be, we think coincidence. I don't think coincidence is just coincidence. I think it's something that is coming at you in your life that you pay attention to. And sometimes it could be a person and they're coming to your life for that reason. Sometimes they're there for that season or, you know, the whole lifetime. But what I think people do is they dwell on the past and their past mistakes and things. And then they're so worried about their future that they're not living in today and the present moment. And the present, literally, I take a present and wrap it and keep it in front of me to show people. You have to live in the present moment because worry is a debt that doesn't come due. And I'm guilty of that. Like, I'll sit there and worry about things, and I try to tell myself, you don't need to worry, girl. You just don't need to worry. But you know what I do? Like everybody else. But then I'm like, then I'm losing my beauty sleep and then I don't have the energy to do the big hair and everything else that goes with that.
Oh,
So,
this
you
so
know,
funny.
yeah, I mean, you have to have energy to do that, you know? So then I'm like, why did I sit up and worry about this all night? It didn't change anything. You know, it really didn't. It didn't give me any answers. So I'm like, you know what? So then I sit there and try to do the big hair. And, you know, still in the 80s, as you can tell, you know, with the big hair. But then the day will happen, and then the answers start appearing just right around me of everything I was worried about.
Well, I had a beauty salon back in the day, in the 80s.
I love it.
We all had the big hair. And, you know, at this point in my life, I did my hair because my hair looks best the second day. And
Absolutely.
I have to go to this premiere of The Deal, which I'm so excited about in Philly tomorrow. So my hair has to be done, right?
Right.
Normally I wear my hats 5 times a week. And I'm so happy now that I've overcome that big hair, because that big hair, let me tell you, in the beauty business was big, okay? I look at pictures back then. Listen, you had nothing on my hair,
No.
okay? Sweet pea, my hair was big. But, you know, I have things everywhere. I have things in my car, on the mirror, and it says, you know, God's got this. And God, you know, God says, I don't need your help today.
Right.
Okay? I really don't need your help. I've got this. And I need these kind of things in my life, because worry could kill a person, and worry
Absolutely.
is one of the worst things, guys, that you could do. And I'm not saying we don't all worry. We all do worry. But how much do we worry? See, that's the factor here. Stress is it's the leading cause of all sicknesses. It absolutely is. I'm also a vegan chef, okay? And I got my certification in November from for certified nutritional health coach from Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I'm going to tell you something. In all my years, almost over 25 years of learning and all this stuff, I learned something more valuable this year from that school than I think I've ever learned. And it was about the stress factor, because they did a survey, and I don't remember what town, it might have been Italy, I'm not sure. They did a survey. They went there for a year because there were 2 towns, small towns close to each other. One of them, everybody lived really long lives, and the other one, everybody was always sick and dying very young. And someone went there for a year and lived in between both towns. The food was the same, but the difference was, this one town, they had close family and friends, and they ate together, and they socialized, and they did everything together. Little stress. The other town, they were always fighting, and no one got along, and the family life wasn't good. That was the factor.
Yes, it is.
And I learned that this year. I always knew about stress, but not to that extent. And I thought, you know, our food plate is secondary. Food is secondary to our, you know, health.
Absolutely. And you know what? You bring up a good point. Because nowadays, what I'm noticing is when people go to dinner, they all have their cell phones. And I see even kids texting each other across the table. And I wasn't raised like that, you know? And what I like to do, and I tell people, listen, if you're going to go out to eat with me, that phone is going away. You could spend 1 hour with me. How long does it take?
That's
I mean,
right.
this
That's
is New
right.
Jersey. It's diners, you know, like stuff like that.
That's right.
That even if at home, if you're going to sit with me, you're going to have a conversation with me, and we're going to sit there and we're going to talk. And I don't care if it's about the weather, anything. But when I see that phone come out, I actually feel my blood start to boil. And then I'm thinking, well, what am I eating? Because now it's not digesting properly the way it should. It's not calm. Because I feel like everybody needs human connection. And now everything is turned to such technology and instant gratification. I mean, when I was younger, I had a paper route. If I wanted something, I had to roll those papers up, put the rubber bands around, get on that bicycle and start delivering them. And then you would get your little check, and it was little at the time, you know, maybe once every week, 2 weeks. And I would sit there and say I had to work for it. And now what I'm seeing is instant gratification, what you didn't have, you know, as parents, we're trying to give to our kids, but it's almost too much, you know? And when my big thing is people don't sit to have dinner together anymore, even lunch. And I understand schedules are crazy, but if you really want something, you will make time for it. If you can make time for a TV show at night that you're watching, you can make time to sit down with your family.
So I was talking about something similar recently, and you know, when we didn't have cell phones, think about this. If someone had to get in touch with us because of an emergency, somehow they did.
Yeah, they did.
There was interaction. We let our families know where we were going to be. We never, ever had to worry. But today, it's almost like we can't live without that.
No.
And I tell people all the time, don't text me, call me, I want to hear your voice.
Exactly.
You know, I go up to strangers, I hug them. I need that in my life. Unfortunately, today, sometimes if we touch people, whoa, you know?
Right.
And I understand that, and that's really sad to me. But I love that interaction with people. I love hugging. I love talking.
And you know what's funny? This past weekend, City of Angels did a recovery coach academy. Actually, it went on for quite a while, and we graduated this weekend. I was very excited about that.
Beautiful.
And I am a touchy-feely person. I don't mean to be. I just go up and I'll say, hey, how you doing, you know? And then I realized some people don't like to be touched.
That's right.
And that class showed me there's boundaries. Like, you know, ask somebody if they want to be touched, you know?
Wow.
And even though I understand that, I couldn't believe it because everybody, to me, because I'm in massage and all that,
Yep.
touch is a human,
Yep.
it's a human function. I think it's a human necessity to have
It is
touch.
absolutely.
And do you know when you hug somebody, there's a certain way to hug somebody?
I'm Italian, so I have no boundaries. Tell me.
Well, I learned this and doing through Reiki is that when you go to hug somebody, a lot of people go this way, like how you and I are. But you really want to go heart to heart, where the heart and the heart meets. And it's a very different feeling, and people feel vulnerable. You won't realize it till you try it, right? And a hug, in order to release natural endorphins, at least 30 seconds, especially in women. And if you hold on to them, releases natural endorphins, helps relax everything, because, you know, everybody says we're all hormonal and all that stuff, you know?
All that stuff.
Somehow some of it is believable. I hate to say that. But you sit there, but that hug means the world. And even if somebody was sitting there and just showing compassion or doing, sorry, if you hope you don't mind, I'm Italian too.
Touch me, baby.
I'm
touch
Italian.
me.
That's what we did. You know, I admit
Yeah,
that.
come
So, you
on.
know, you sit there and people need this so they could feel your energy and feel compassion and make emphasis on things that you're saying. That's my grandmother, you know, and all that
And
stuff.
look
or my
into
mother.
people's eyes.
Absolutely.
That's my big thing.
And I do look into people's eyes a lot. And sometimes I get very uncomfortable with it. But to me, I want to reach you on a whole nother level. And I don't judge you. I don't care what you look like on the outside. It doesn't
Absolutely.
bother me. I don't care what race you are. I don't care if you're male, you're female. I don't even care if you're a furry creature because
I love furry creatures.
I did too. And I just sat there and it's like, I'm sorry, but human touch is a necessity. It really
I
is.
agree, absolutely. I worked in a school system a few years back, and I would walk in, and all the kindergarten kids would come running up, Jerry, Jerry, and hug me, and second graders and third graders, and I'm hugging them. I'm sorry, but I was not going to hug these children. I was brought up on charges by the school. The parents fought for me, letters on top of letters saying she can hug my kids anytime. You know, what's happened today in this country, in this world really, with touching and hugging is horrible to me because the next generation will never even understand the depth of it and how necessary it is. I can't not touch people.
Right. That's
know?
me. It's my human nature, and I don't
That's
mean
right.
any harm by it or anything, because I try to go around with love, you know, and do everything with love. And if I'm not feeling that way, because we all have a bad day here and there, I don't really want to work on anybody, you know, because I don't want to transfer that, you know, and it is a transference of feelings, everything that we do. And so I want to be able to empower people, not bring them down. That's not what I want to do. And if I'm not in that space, I like ask people, just let me be. Let's just leave me alone. Let me get through it, because I can get through it, you know. But some people are like very quick, or sometimes they want to help, or they say the wrong things, you know, and you're sitting there going, that's not what I need to hear right now. No, it's not it, you know. And I know you're trying, but it's just not
That's
it.
so funny, but
you know,
it's true.
But it is true. And I feel like even if it's 5 minutes a day, I tell people, you know, keep a pad and pencil by your bed and write down something that you were really grateful for in this day before you go to bed. And if you have anything you're worrying about the next day, write it down. Because when you do, you can let it go and you can get the best night's sleep ever without going, did I do that? Did I do that? Or I have to do that. And sleeping is a very big thing.
You're right.
You need sleep. And I admit I am mostly sleep deprived 90% of the time because we're always on the
Yep,
go and doing
me
our things.
too.
And to do these shows, even with yourself, takes a lot of preparation. You know, the before, the after, even during the show. And the shows go so fast. But there's a lot of prep work that people don't realize, the behind the scenes. And you don't sleep because you have to get it done, you know, and I get that. And I appreciate that. So thank you.
Oh,
From one
thank
host to
you.
another, I
Thank
understand
you.
how that goes. But I feel like if you prioritize your life and you make yourself a priority, because if you don't make yourself a priority, you can't help anybody else. And I was guilty of that for a while. And then what was really sad, and it was a really good learning experience, is that sometimes people mistaken your kindness for weakness. And they'd start taking advantage. And when you start learning the word no, no, not being cruel, but saying, no, not now, I need this time for myself, and even if it's 5 minutes, you'd be surprised how people react to that. And they're like, no, what does she mean? No, she actually said no. I said no as in a sentence. It ends with a period. It ends with an exclamation point. I don't care how you end it, but the answer is no. And I started empowering myself that way. And it wasn't to be cruel to anybody. I would still get to their needs, but it might not been, that's what I'm talking about, that immediate gratification in that moment, because I needed something. And it could have been a drink of water for all I know, a cup of tea. That's all I needed. Just let me get that and I'll deal with your stuff, you know? But I've learned to say, I have to make myself a priority. Like, I have to. Because when you find out that you're a priority in everybody else's life, but they only make you an option in theirs, it is the most hurtful. And I think people become self-destructive because they're hurt by that. Like, I'm making time for you. You're making time for me. The next person might want that time right that minute, but if you don't give it, and I've seen this in children especially, like, I want it now. Or you're ever in a restaurant and they start crying, because, I mean, children cry. It's what they do. But some of it is so over the top by saying, I just learn a little patience. Give me 5 minutes. Let me order something, and then, well, you know, you have all my attention. And I think that is an art that has gotten lost, or chivalry at times could be dead. Like, how many times you walk in, and I hold the door for people. You know how many times people walk in and just don't even hold the door?
So I ran this poker league, okay?
I love this.
Okay, so this is the best. Now, and I have a right to say what I'm going to say. My daughter-in-law is black. My granddaughter's part black, so
Right.
I am the least racist person in the world. And my daughter's married to a woman, and I'm a Christian, so I am not a racist.
Right.
So here I am, this 5'4" white woman. This is going back like 12 years ago when I was asked to take this league over. And I'm thinking, oh no, you know, it's in Trenton. I have games in Trenton, right? And I'm thinking, I don't know, but you know what? I stood my ground. From day one, here I am with these 6 foot huge, you know, young guys, drinkers, you know, and they're all like looking down at me like, you're going to run this league? Well,
Right.
listen, I whacked one of them the first time, grabbed his pants that are down past his butt, pulled him up and said, what the heck is this? They loved me from that moment on. They
Absolutely.
took care of me. They protected me.
Good.
And here's the best part. I don't allow people in my company to use the Lord's name in vain. Well, you know, they're all drunk playing poker.
Right.
Well, if I walked in a room, they would say this, cheese and rice, Jerry, cheese and rice. And I'm like, I love you guys. So you're right. People, what we're trying to say here is this. Everyone deserves respect, but you have to also respect yourself enough to want it and warrant it. And once you do that, people will show you the respect you deserve.
Absolutely.
You know, people will, you know, sometimes they do take advantage of us. They do.
Yeah, they
but
do.
we have boundaries and we have to set them. And once we set them, people do know, okay, I won't cross the line, you know, but we have to set them.
Absolutely. I just want to talk to the listeners that if you have a story that you want to call in with and discuss it with
Yes.
Jerry and I would absolutely love it.
Yes.
And also, I have to share with you the other reason I'm so excited, and you're in the celebration and don't even realize it.
Wow.
Today is the 3rd year anniversary of Neo Zoe, my wellness center. It's 3 years ago today. I had a huge grand opening with the mayor, which Shalanda actually performed all the music. And to be able to say it's been 3 years, I'm really excited. But today I walked in my office and I'm like, wow, it's 3 years today. Today is the day.
Today is the day.
Today is the actual anniversary.
So
I
this
posted
is
it all
so
over
beautiful.
Facebook and everything.
This is so beautiful.
So I'm so honored to be here.
And congratulations. I'm so honored
Thank
to have
you.
you. I could not wait for tonight.
Well, the fact that you're into health and wellness and all, I couldn't figure out a better way to celebrate that. And to be here and to be a part of it, and you letting me bring all my paraphernalia,
so
I call it,
proud
you
of
know.
you.
And to know that, you know, when you believe in yourself, and I've had people come in and the things we're talking about, I know people have talked about. So if you're out there and you're out of work, because that's the other thing, people are, you know, we're coming home from work. I said, please call the show. Can I give out the number? Do you mind?
The number's on
Yep.
the screen, and you can give it out.
It's 609-807-2492. And I'd love to hear from you, so don't
Yep.
be shy. Please call us.
And guys, the number's on the screen as well. We
Yep.
would love to hear from you. Call in.
I would. And even when you took the time to make this. I love this, guys. I don't know if you can really see it, but this, I've never had somebody write a poem about me. So thank you so much for
you're
doing
welcome.
that. I
You're
feel like I'm
welcome.
up here today.
You are
like on
up
cloud
there. Are you
9.
kidding me? You are up there.
And I thank you for doing that. And, you know, it's an honor to be here. Like I said, I've seen your show so many times.
Thank you.
Many times. And the way that you give back to others, it's genuine.
Now you're going to make me cry.
No, but it's
Thank you.
genuine. And sometimes you don't see genuine. Some people, I'm sorry, want to do something because they want something from you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to the fact that when I met you at Ava, because Ava's fantastic, I met her through Danny Coleman.
Yep,
Because
that's right.
Danny Coleman has a show called What's Next.
That's right.
And
Hey, Danny.
hey, Danny.
Give him a
for
shout
watching.
out.
And also, I co-host Rock on Radio
That's
with
right.
him, too. He puts up with me. I don't know why he
love
does,
it.
but he does.
I love it.
And now he co-hosts the Health and Wellness show as well, you know, and I always have it once a month, so we always start off, it's that time of the month again, you know, and we just have the shenanigans. But saying that and having all these things, people sometimes are not genuine. And when I met you through Ava,
Thank you. Thank you.
you really are a genuine human being, person trying to give back. And we need that back in this world. We really do. And I can't stress that enough. And when you talked about stress, I have to tell you a really quick funny story. I was out to dinner.
It doesn't have to be quick. We have plenty of time for you.
But I'm sitting in a restaurant, and they have a dessert menu that has a card hanging out like this. And it says desserts on it. But somehow, I don't know, I'm reading it backwards, why I wasn't.
Oh.
And we're talking about, you know, being stressed. And I realized the word desserts spelled stressed backwards.
That's crazy. I never thought of that either.
No,
until
that did I.
just
And I was
now.
like, wow, talk about emotional eating when I'm sad. Give me a piece of chocolate. I'm like, why not? You know? And I'm going,
That's
so
great.
then, of course, the waitress walks up, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, do you see that says stressed? And it's supposed to be your dessert menu, you know? She's like, I never noticed that before. And I said, I don't know what made me notice it that day. Meanwhile, she's trying to offer me all kinds of desserts, and I'm like, no, I don't need it. My hips don't need this, but thank you, you know? And we're sitting there, and then it got me to think. When I left there, I said, how many of us bury our emotions in food? And I've seen people do it when they're really sad, or how many movies, and it's really true. You'll see that woman go get that gallon of ice cream, and you're not dishing it out. You're spooning it out right out of that gallon of ice cream and do that. And I thought about just what you were saying, like stress is one of the #1 factors
Absolutely.
that wears down the body. And there's different kinds of stress, because there's good stress too. Like, you know, coming here today and there was traffic and I didn't know exactly where I was going. That was great stress.
Yes.
It really was, you know. But then you have like those ones where people are financially stressed, which gets very, very hard. And I really get bothered these days by like banks and people of authority, shall we say, and they prey on people. And I see more and more people in my practice getting more and more, I don't want to say the word sick. I really don't like it, but unfortunately, it's illness, you know, that they could work out of. But just what you said, that stress on the body, if you're out there and you're stressed, there's outlets, there's exercise, you know, there's finding a hobby that you like to do and giving yourself only 5 minutes a day. Sometimes that's all you need. Or sit in quiet or do something. Or in my case, I like to be around people. When I'm stressed, I like to be around other people because it makes me stop thinking about it, you know? And they might ask me questions about it. But then I realize I'm there helping them by the time I'm done. And that might be what my forte is. I don't know. But being stressed doesn't mean desserts. That's, I guess, what I'm saying here. Because when I saw that, I had to laugh.
I think that's brilliant. But I want to talk to you about stress. I wrote this in my book, and it's called fight or flight. We've all heard about that. And this is when I was studying this, because I really wanted to get this right. I'm going to tell you something I learned that's just unbelievable. And this is why there's so many people out there today that are on, and I'm not saying get off your meds. That's not what I'm saying here. But what I'm saying here, met people on so many different meds for so many different things. And, you know, a little stress, they want to put them on pills. A little anxiety, they want to put them on pills, right? Here's what happens to the body, guys. And I'm being serious here from my heart of hearts, okay? Everybody goes through stress. We were born with a mechanism called fight or flight for protection for us.
Right.
So say we're walking down an alley alone, which you shouldn't be doing at night, right? And all of a sudden you get this feeling over you. We'll continue this. Hello, caller? Hello? Hello? I hear stuff. Hello?
Hi, ladies. Great show.
Hi, Cathy. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Cathy. You guys are awesome. I always say nobody can do to you what you don't let them do. I'm really enjoying your conversation.
Well, thank you,
Kathy
Kathy.
Kasu.
It's nice to meet you.
But Kathy was
Nice
Kathy.
meeting you.
Wait, I want you to tell her what you. She's a nurse, but tell her what you ended up doing with that, because this is so cool.
Okay, well, I've done a lot of things. I've done hospital work, private duty, doctor, etc. But I worked in the entertainment industry on TV and film, taking care of the casting crew.
Set nurse.
Ah,
So cool.
I think that's awesome. That's
Right?
fantastic.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes. I want to do that
And-
now. Now that I think
See,
about
now
it, it's
she
like,
wanna
I
do
want
it.
to do that.
It's a lot of
It's
hours, but
amazing.
it's great. I loved it. And I had a medical prop house. I rented out medical equipment. And then I wound up writing a book, Cinematic Health and Wellness, for the cast and crew.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I have the book. It's so cool.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Oh, I'd love to see
Yes.
it. Oh, my God. That's great.
Yes, I'll lend it to you. It's adorable. And Kathy actually was the person that I went to the Fab Four. I was her guest backstage. It was beautiful. I can't stop talking about it, Kath.
I know. It was great. They treated us like kings and queens.
It's unbelievable. Beautiful. So.
Now, George is a good friend. He's
Yep,
a great
George
guy.
Strollinger, yep.
Mm-hmm.
So now, Kath, she's going to want to be a set nurse because of you.
Yes, I do. I
Okay.
really want to learn how
Oh,
to do
no
that.
problem. I also developed a course because I constantly get emails. How can I do what you do? So I developed a course. I'll be happy to give you the course.
Oh, I would love it. Absolutely. That would be my thing. And the fact that I can't get in trouble, because I'm acting, right?
Oh, okay. How funny
I'm
is that?
still an actress.
Listen. No, actually, well, it's kind of play because when you're setting people up on equipment for a shot, it's like playing. So it's not a critical moment.
That's right.
And the best part is you get to go everywhere, Oh, let me come in your dressing room. You're not looking well.
Wait, Kath, I have a question, Kath. Is it frowned upon to do mouth or mouth?
To
Wait,
mouth.
Mouth to
Mouth
mouth.
to
I'm
mouth.
getting nervous here. I'm
Okay,
getting nervous.
well,
Is it,
listen,
is it frowned upon
gotta
to do
do
it to
what
all
you
the
gotta
gorgeous
do.
men?
Got to do what you got to do. I worked on Oz with all the men.
See?
Not such a bad life.
You look like you
No.
need a little mouth to mouth.
Yeah, you're not looking well, but it's my finger. No, I do a thorough checkup. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you check that heart too, I'm sure.
Listen, you got to make sure it's beating.
That's true, very much. And then if you come around and you see it beating faster, I'm sure you got a little excited, right?
Well, then we got to slow it down a little bit,
And then it goes to the critical point. I'm sorry. I could pull the plug. No, I'm like,
Kath, you know what? Kath, I'm going to give you her
Yes.
CD. She brought me another one and she said pay it forward. So I'm going to give it to you. This one's for you, okay?
oh, thank you.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
Very
This one's for
welcome.
you.
Thanks.
Yes.
Enjoy the show, ladies. I am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kath. Love you.
Okay, love you too. Nice meeting you.
How cool is that?
Okay.
I've never heard of that. That is fantastic.
So here we go. Another thing for you,
I'm like, ooh,
girlfriend.
how can I work that into my...
But listen, when that happens, you're going to invite me, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I'd really like to hang out.
I would love to do that. I never thought about that. Now my wheels are
Okay,
turning.
there you
Now
go.
you see them turning. Sorry.
There you go.
If you start smelling smoke burning, run.
There you go. But I want to continue what I was saying because this is important about
Yes.
fight or flight, because what happens is this, we were born with this mechanism to protect ourselves. So when we're in let's say a dangerous situation, we sense that we're in a dangerous situation, it immediately kicks in for us. So it lets us know, guys, fight or flight is happening and we can save ourselves. Here's the problem today. For the most part, the majority of people are in that fight or flight mode 100% of the time all day long because of all these different meds and all
Right.
these different fears they have that they can't get out of it. So when your body really needs to put it to use, you end up, unfortunately, sometimes with a nervous breakdown, or
Right.
that's what happens. And that's what's sad. So guys, we're here to help you. You can reach out to either one of us
Absolutely.
on Facebook, you can talk to us about it. We're here to help you guys. That's what this show is about, okay guys? Not to judge. We don't judge anybody.
No, I don't, because I've been there.
Yep.
I'm actually speaking from experience, and there's a lot of empathy that comes with it,
Yeah.
And there's so many mistakes I made along the way, but
Thank
by
God
doing
for that, man. Thank God
exactly,
for that.
and by doing that, I'm able to help others
right.
to say, okay, this didn't work for me. It may work for you. It just didn't work for me. But giving people the toolbox that they need, they really need a good toolbox, a go-to place. So when they're having daily problems. But the stress, I've literally seen it, unfortunately, with friends and, you know, just literally kill them. It was horrible. And I sat there and I said, I am under stress. I can't sit here and say, not everybody has it every day. It's how you deal with it. And you're right about a choice. You have a choice of how you want to handle it. And you could either let it take down your entire day, which I'm guilty of. I've done that. And then say, okay, you know what? You had your 5 minutes, whatever it is. I'm just going to go about my day and I'm going to try to do something more positive. Because when you're spiraling with that fight or flight and you're spiraling, well, what do you think that energy you're putting out? You are attracting that same energy.
That's
so
right.
everything starts spiraling downward. And I want to spiral upward. I don't know about you, but I know that's what I want to do, you know? And being able to do that, I mean, this experience here with the book, with Road to Success, I mean, I never thought I'd be on the red carpet. And I got to tell you, when they were interviewing me, they took me on. They didn't coach me to say, this is what you do. Instead, I got, okay, come on over here. And, you know, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to ask you questions. And the gentleman was fantastic, but he talked really fast. So it was like and your nerves are going. So you're sitting there and you feel the sweat dripping, but you don't want anybody to see that, you know. And they're saying, we're just going to ask you questions. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Hi, we're live. I didn't even know what was coming at me. But when I watched the replay, where I was really proud, somebody was, I'm telling you, God was with me, because
Absolutely.
those words came out. I never said, and, I never said, I never did any. It just flowed. And it was everything I felt from the heart. Like I was speaking from the heart on there. And what I loved is that I became part of the National Academy of Best-Selling Authors. So on the red carpet, I was so excited that I got to say, and I'd like to thank the Academy. But now that Cathy called in, and I'm finding out about this set thing,
Okay.
I want to go on the red carpet, you know, doing something fun like that.
Okay.
Because I hope you heard me, Hollywood. If you're hearing me,
That is so
I think that
funny.
would be the coolest thing, and take her with us, and we all go on a
There you go,
girls'
Kath.
road trip. I feel one happening, because when I got to thank the Academy, to me it was my first thing I said, you know, I'd like to thank God, because without that, I would not be here today, you know. And I almost passed away from all my illnesses, and to find out that you could gain your life back and give back. And being an author, I never thought I would write anything. You know, I was great at math, you know. English, well, you know, I did
And
my
I was
thing.
the opposite. I hated math. I was great at English, and I'm an artist and
Right.
poetry, and I draw, but I hated math, girlfriend. You don't seem the type.
You would think not, right? And then what was funny is when I originally started going to college, I was going for certified public accountant, and I'm sitting in the class going, I can't do this for 8 hours a day and maybe 12 hours a day, 6 months out of the year. I was like, no. And you know how fast I dropped that? I was like, I can't do this.
I can't imagine
No,
that.
and then I just kept kind of like discovering myself, and I worked really hard. I started working at a young age, you know. I'm probably starting to date myself now, so we don't want to do that. But I like that I did, because I got such a well foundation to understand what workforce was when you were so young. And while my friends were out and doing their thing, I was working. And then it started being like, even on a work program, I was one of those seniors that said, I don't want to go to school all day. Like, I want that half a day thing. So I signed up for the work program where you go to school half a day. And I ended up working 2 jobs. And me, out of all people, because I was trying to get out of school, which don't take that advice. But the education I got on the job, every job I had, no matter where I always worked up to a management position. It never failed. And I did it through hard work. You know, I didn't ask for entitlement. I didn't think I was entitled. I was always those, let me prove myself before you give me a raise. Let me prove myself to show you I can do it. And I also wanted to know I can do it. You know, I wanted to learn the ropes. And I'm very old-fashioned like that. I still am, you know. And I see this younger generation wanting entitlement right out of the box. You know what? I graduated college. Yes, you did. But I want this salary, and I want this, and I want this perk. Well, you know what? Sometimes you have to prove yourself that you can do the work before somebody's going to give you something, you know?
Amazing.
And I think it's a give and take, and you do have to give things while you take things. And I do think a healthy relationship, whether it's, you know, your husband, your wife, your siblings, your parents, it's all give and take. You know, it can't always be take. And I was a supervisor, in a Fortune 500 company. And, I was coached to say, look at their degrees, their college degrees. That's what I'm looking for. And I always looked at the resumes that had the work experience, because to me, I felt like that made you more well-rounded. You kind of know what it's like to get up every morning, get to a job. Some days you might not like your job. Some days you might, And they were able to do that. And you know that they could be trainable. You could teach them things. They understand what give and take is. When I had to look at resumes right out of college and that's who they wanted, I had to hire some people like that. And then I would hear over the cubicle to their peers, oh, I was able to get my degree because I was playing tennis or I was playing football. And when I would go to train them, I was able to train the people that were in the workforce a lot faster, a lot easier, because everybody was telling me what they wanted. And I realized these are the people that came right out of college. And I'm not saying that they're not brilliant and they're not smart, because some of them were really brilliant and very book smart, but they didn't have the experience. And I do think that people coming out of school do have a problem, because in the workforce they want experience, but they also want the education. And if you just got out of school, it's kind of not fair for a company to say, I want 3 years experience in this plus the college degree. What do you expect? That, I have to say, I don't think is fair.
I agree with you there.
And I think it makes it really tough for the people coming out of school, and even people, and it's not just college. I'm a big fan of vocational schools, because vocational schools teaches you on-the-job training. Hands-on.
Hands-on.
And I think everybody learns differently. So some people might learn better in a college. Some people might get their education in a vocation. And some people get their education just by life, just going to get that job and falling into it. And sometimes I don't think you fall into it. I think there's something working towards you to push you
My
towards
grandson,
something.
this is what he says to me. He's 17 years old, and he says to me, Mom, I'm going to be working smarter, not harder.
Absolutely.
And I cracked up, and he made an app. Apple picked it up. It's called Line Glide, guys.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
Yes, how cool is that?
That is cool.
Right?
And you do. And, there is such a thing as hard work. And it depends what profession you're going into. And I'm sorry, but when you're in high school and they're saying, what's your major going to be in college? When you're 16, 17, 18, you don't know what you really want to do. And then you go to school, and how many people get their degrees and saying, oh, my God, this is so not what I want to do, I think you have to find yourself and discover yourself. So don't put yourself in a box.
Let's talk about finding yourself. So, no, I'm being serious, because this is important. How long did it take you to find yourself?
Years. And
Okay.
it took me through my illness to find
Okay.
myself, yeah.
Same here. Took me through my illness. It took me years. I was probably 40 years old when I really can say that I knew who I was and who I wanted to be.
Right.
I don't know if that's sad but it takes a long time. But everything that we've done up until that point makes us who we end up being.
Absolutely. It's your foundation.
It's your foundation. So listen, I honestly, I might have one regret, but that's about it. And it's not even something that I really did. I
Right.
might have one regret in life, but I don't really regret things.
Right. And regret. And another big emotion that I see take the toll on people is guilt.
Yes.
And guilt, really, if you think about it, is not an emotion. You have like happiness, sadness, anger. But guilt is not an emotion. Guilt is what we put on ourselves, if you think about it. And if you allow people to make you feel guilty, it can eat at you. I mean, it really can eat at you and make you do things either that you didn't want to do, good, bad, or indifferent, or it can make you say, oh, I feel, there's a difference of having empathy for somebody and feeling guilty. And I don't like when people make people feel guilty because they want something from them, or making them feel guilty because they didn't do something and they may have truly just forgot, But guilt is an emotion that we put on ourselves, because when I start catching myself, just what you said, you start defining yourself. As we get older, there is wisdom with that. There really is in some part. But to sit there and say, I don't have to feel that way. I didn't have to feel guilty. Okay, I might have procrastinated, and I could be. Did you ever procrastinate procrastination?
No.
I said that to somebody the other day. They looked at me and I said, I really think I'm starting to become the queen of it at some
That
point.
is so funny. See, I'm the exact opposite. Once I got clean and sober, I became, listen, you're going to crack up at this, I became ridiculously organized, clean. My cleaning lady comes out once a month and says, "Why am I here?"
Right.
I am the most organized. I don't procrastinate anything. I drive my daughter crazy, okay? I drive her crazy. I used to Velcro stuff down so it wasn't moved. I was in therapy for that. Listen, I was in therapy to not be so clean, to not be so. I'm not kidding you. Now all my therapists are my friends. Listen, I had serious issues with everything done perfectly, and and that's not good either.
No, it's not. And, I love my mom, okay? I love my mother. But my mom was one of those people, too, who had to have everything in the place.
No,
And
my
always
mother
had
was a mess.
It had to look like a showroom. She's
No.
going to kill me if
That's
she's watching.
me.
She will right now. But me, it was like one of those, it has to be neat and tidy. But, if there's a dust bunny underneath that, couch, spring cleaning and fall cleaning, it'll come out,
You're like my daughter, which I'm happier about. I wish I could be a little bit more like that. My mother was a slob, see? So I was complete opposite.
Right.
And now my daughter blames me for her being a slob.
And I admire my mother for being like that, but it's just not me. You know what I'm saying? Because while some people find enjoyment in cleaning, I do to a point. I'll say that. But I enjoy helping others or delving into like an educational process and all. And the dishes will get done. They do get done because I actually can't go to bed with dirty dishes in a sink.
Oh, okay.
I have to say that. So I'm really not as bad
Okay,
as what
no,
I'm
no,
sounding.
no.
Not at all. But it's one of those things like if I had to sit there and say, do I wash the dishes now or can I read this article in 10 minutes, learn something, think about it while I'm washing the dishes, then I don't mind that I'm washing those dishes. Actually, it could be very therapeutic at that point.
Yes, sir.
But it's one of those things like I do become organized, but when I say procrastination,
I love that.
it was the other day and was something I'm putting off, and there's no reason I have to put it off because if I have to have a deadline, I do make all my deadlines. I really do. But sometimes, like when you had 3 weeks to do it, I'm like the queen of waiting till like the
wow,
third
no,
day.
I wouldn't know how to do
My
that.
chapter here, this is a true story about this. They gave me the guidelines and what I had to do, and probably in about February, and it was due in April. Well, life took over, and I made everybody else a priority, and I said, I'll get to it. Late at night, I'll get to it. April 13th, I'll never forget this. I'm sitting there at my dining room table. I'm looking at the clock, and it's 8 o'clock at night, and I know the deadline is right at midnight, right? And I never wrote a single word. So I sat there with my computer looking at a blank screen, and I'm like, where am I going to start? Everybody went to bed. I was so excited that they all went to bed. And I was like, it's just quiet. And I just started typing. And I just started with my own story. I didn't make a thing up, so it just flowed. Do you know that I read it probably half-assed, got it done, was making up acronyms in the chapter, thinking about how I got myself well, and going, okay. And then I'm looking at the word count because you can only have so many words in this thing, I was like, well, I'm over by 500 words. But you know what? This is my story. And you know what? I'm going to stick to it, so I'm going to leave it 500 words. And I submitted it. And they go through an editing process, and they send it back to you. I was proud to say there was only like 3 commas and a hyphen that I was far off from. Everything else was acceptable of what I did. And I was happy because I didn't have to change anything. It just came out the way it was supposed to. So to me, I said, you know what? I'm just going to go with it. They were like, do you want to change anything? Do you want to do anything? I read this thing so many times. I said, no. I'm just going to leave it the way it is because if it got accepted that way and I became part of the book, I said, I'm just going to leave it. It must be something that has to get out there just the way it is.
So I'm gonna make you laugh, okay?
Go ahead.
So and I've had poems published years ago. I'm an artist, right? So I'm right. God says write this book. So I say, okay. So I fast every year for a month. So I called my brother. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna fast. It was October. I said, you're on dad duty. My dad had Alzheimer's at the time. He's like, okay. So I write the book in 3 weeks. But girlfriend, I wrote the book, hand wrote it.
Fantastic.
So, but I don't, because I'm an idiot on computers. Listen, not fantastic.
No,
So-
because I think it's more genuine
So
that way.
listen, I call my brother and I'm like, I have a little situation. And he's like, what? I said, I wrote a book. He goes, you wrote a book? I go, yeah. I go, but I hand wrote it. We cracked up. So I had to get a friend of mine. I said, so she came on the computer and typed the whole thing in. But isn't that funny? I had to handwrite mine. I'm listening to you on the computer and I'm saying, yeah, I don't know what
But
you're
you know
talking
what's
about.
funny? I journal a lot. I journal, and I try to journal
Yes.
every day because I feel like sometimes now where that math, I told you I was great at math, I'm sitting there and I noticed I start writing. And now English and, writing and being an author has really changed me. I could start writing, and where I think I'll write like a like a paragraph starts turning into a whole page, and it comes out effortlessly. Like, I just write, and sometimes that's where I get my answers. Or even for somebody else,
You're
if
right.
they're going through something,
Journal.
something just happens to journal out, and I'll go back and read it, and I don't even remember writing it. You know, as crazy as it is, because I'm just kind of going with whatever's written. And I find it to be empowering when you could write, because there's something in the art of pen and paper versus all this typing and all that comes out very genuine in journaling, you know?
Oh, wow, I love you more now for saying that to
It's
me.
really true, because it comes from the heart, but there's something where your brain and mind connection is making a different connection to the
It's
heart.
the only way I know.
Because technology, don't forget, that's running on a battery or
No.
electric, and there's energy to that. Where if you put all that aside and you're just using pen and paper, it's very therapeutic. And if you haven't tried it, for people who haven't, you know, it really is a miracle worker. You get a lot of answers that way.
Yeah, I scribble constantly.
I do, and I can't say I'm an artist. Like, stick figures are hard for me to draw. You know, I try. But, you know,
Well,
just...
girlfriend, you can't do it all. Not all. Listen,
No,
there's
I
got to be
try.
something. Come on, give me something here.
I know, but we try. But, yeah,
do
if you
try,
see
we
me
do
art, you know, that game Pictionary, do not have me on your team, because it's you'll
That's so
just
funny.
you wouldn't want me on your team. I can tell you that right now.
So
People have
funny.
told me that. So, you know, I just love the fact that as we get older, just like you said, we discover ourselves. And I think we also be comfortable where we're not constantly judging people. Because when you're in your 20s, you're trying to look good. You're worried about how people, you know, are perceiving you. Do I look okay? Is this okay? Why are they staring at me? By your 30s, you're kind of just like, you know what? It's here, but I'm going to get on with life. By your 40s, you're kind of like, this is what I am. Like it, take it, leave it, whatever. But I'm loving myself the way I am. This is me. And then I think, like, as you get older and you're in your 50s now, you're sitting here saying, you know what? I'm me. Accept it. You could learn things from me. I could learn things from you. I don't know everything. I don't claim to either. Like, if somebody comes in my office and they have a question and I can't answer it, I'll actually tell them I can't answer it.
So I'm the queen for that. I actually love asking people directions, asking people questions. I have no problem. I'll be with people and like, no, we don't have to ask. And I'm like, listen, yes, we do, and we're going to. I have no problem saying I didn't know, I don't know, and I was wrong.
Right. And there's nothing wrong to admitting that you don't know something, because I think there's somebody in a room who does know it, and you
Yes.
learn something. And I think if you wake up with the mindset that you could take with you, that by the time you go to bed, you learned one new thing that day, just one new thing, you had a great day. Like,
So,
just to get up
that's
and
right.
learn. And I just, you know, believe in that. And I think everybody's so into the phone and so into the tablets that the art of conversation has gotten lost as well. And I think that I really would like to see phones go away. Not go away completely, but like to say, people get the art to know, put it down, this is not the time, I'll look at it later.
Or it's just for that emergency phone call.
Right, but it's instant gratification. With texting, that's like crazy, because people think you're looking at your phone every minute, and I don't look at my phone every minute. So like, but I texted you 3 hours ago. I'm like, yeah, and what do
Okay.
you want? I'll get back to you, but I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
That's right.
And well, he's just as guilty. But I have clients that do that, you know, and they expect an answer immediately. But I'm in with other clients, so I'm not looking at my phone, you know. Or I'll turn, and this is what I'm guilty of. In my office, I turn my ringer off because I don't want to be bothered. I'm with you. I'm with you at the moment.
No, but
and
that's not something to, that's a good thing.
well, but the problem is I forget when I leave the office to turn the ringer back on,
Oh.
and everyone's like, but I've been calling you, and I've been calling you. But then I think, well, maybe I wasn't meant to turn it on. Maybe I was meant just to be left alone for a while, you know? And when you're helping a lot of people, you're picking up all their energy. So sometimes you, as the healer, have to kind of take a break from everything. You need your space. I'm telling you, even 5 minutes makes a difference, you know? And I think with texting, everyone expects an answer back. And then if they don't text, then they're emailing you because they know it's on your phone now. So they'll say, well, I emailed you.
I don't,
texted you.
I don't
But you
even
know what
look
they
at
never
email
did?
on my phone.
They never called you.
That's right.
I get that a lot. Well, I emailed you and I texted you. You never answered back.
The best is you get the text. If I get a text, I dial call, and they don't pick up. You just texted me. You're holding your phone. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So talk to me.
Talk to me.
And sometimes I think things really get lost in translation in text messaging because a joke can be misconstrued.
That's right.
If it was really serious, they might think it's a joke. Or some people get really hurt by things that are said and it's not meant in the text,
That's
the
right.
context that
Absolutely.
they're typing in it. So I have a big problem with texting, I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm guilty of it. I text, I can't sit here and say I don't. But I try not to. If somebody prefers that, then I'll do it and I'll ask. But I'd rather people call me and talk to me. I'm a human being, I'm living and breathing and I have things to say. That's why I have no voice, by the way, right now.
So I want to talk about your CD. Let's talk about this.
Yes.
Okay, so I think it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes. What really inspired this, and where did all this music come from?
Well, what inspired it, like I said, is people were coming in and saying they didn't know how to de-stress. And what I learned from my experience through my illness, and it took me 10 years to get my health back, but I did, and I got it back where the medical community couldn't believe it because they told me it was impossible, and nothing's impossible. It really isn't sometimes.
Amen to that.
Yeah, you can turn your life around. And what's really amazing is when I was really going through my illness, I was really, really sick. And I don't think people realized how sick was because I didn't show it. Like I would have to go out with my makeup on and have the hair done and all that. But I would still try to function, but I knew inside I was nowhere near. Half the time it was like people would talk to me and be like that Charlie Brown, want, the whole thing. And one of the chakras in there is the crown chakra. And what I did is when I was really sick, and I don't like to talk about it because it kind of fills me up, but it's one of those things that you kind of started seeing things you probably shouldn't have seen. It was just not my time. And I put that in the script. And Rich Shalanza, the way we did it, usually you write your lyrics first from my understanding and then they write the tracks. Well, I couldn't work like that. So he would do the tracks first. And it was so ethereal, the whole music to the crown chakra. And when I noticed when I was sitting there and I was writing the script, it was everything that I saw. That I know
Wow.
that there was something on the other side. I know how ill I was, but I didn't say anything to anybody. I was just kind of taking it all in, watching things, and I didn't want people to know how bad I was because I didn't want to be perceived as being something's wrong with her, stay away from her, whatever. And the root chakras, and that's one of the first ones on there because we're starting at the root chakra, and that's one of the dance tracks, one of my favorite tracks on there, by the way. But teaching people, it all starts at the root chakra and it spirals upward. And you have to understand that you have to love yourself through this process. And when I wrote the scripts to it, I'm trying to get people, if you relate to neurolinguistic programming, great, it's in there. If you learn from affirmations, they're in there. It's teaching you where the chakra is located, what the color is, that you can do this on yourself, incorporate it into your life. It's not hard to do. And the tracks, I mean, Richie was fantastic. He used pulse generators and things like that on the DVD, and he would explain to me what he was doing. And I would hear the music, and he would write something the way he understood the chakra to be and study the tones and all. And I would put on a set of headphones, and he's like, here, I just sent it to you. Now write something for it. And we actually worked really well together. We got it done pretty quickly because I think it was from the heart from both of us. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think it sounds like it was from your heart. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. When I first heard, I listen to it all the time now, but when I first heard it, I was like, this is special.
Oh, thank you. And
Yeah.
what was funny is he was just like, you have a great voice. He's like, I'm going to use your voice on here. And it was really funny because I hear the music and I didn't have timing down, and he'd be like, do the whole thing.
So funny.
You're supposed to go. Then he'll look at me and be like,
So funny.
and that's how we did that whole thing. Like he would just
Do
tell
we
me.
have a track here with your voice
Um,
for Gino to play?
It's on a DVD. I don't have the actual
Oh,
track
okay.
here. It's on that. Yeah, I didn't know. Oh, there it is. So,
Okay.
but it's very inspiring. And like I said, like when people do the heart chakra and the throat chakra, they're very far out. But you know what? You can have some fun while doing it. It doesn't always have to be meditation. I have to
That's
sit
right,
here
that's right.
and I have to be calm and I have to do this. Meditation comes in many different forms. You know, we're just programmed to say we have to sit here with our eyes closed and be still. You don't have to. Meditation could be hearing your favorite song and cleaning to it. I don't know, you know, or putting Velcro on your house and, you know, hearing your favorite.
Right.
That's meditation. You know, that for you, that was meditated, you know.
What I like to do is this, and I want to tell everybody out there, if you guys have any everybody has issues health-wise. I mean, the lymphatic system, all that. Trampolines, mini trampolines, are the greatest
Yes, they
thing.
are. Yeah, absolutely.
Get the one with the poles, so you can hold on to it, and
Yep.
you're not jumping, you're bouncing.
Yes.
All right, so you could listen to music while you're bouncing on that. And I also have a massage chair, and I have a vitamin D lamp,
Mm-hmm.
and 20 minutes a day. I don't care if it's in the morning, late at night. I am on that chair with the music on, with the vitamin D lamp on. I mean, that's what I have to do for myself.
Right, and I'm so glad you brought up the lymphatic system, because
Yes.
the bouncing
Yes.
actually stimulates your limbs,
That's
and
right.
it's so easy to do.
That's right.
And one of the tracks in there talks about the lymphatic
Yep.
system, that you could sit there. Thank you for saying that. You
Yes.
just made my day.
Yes.
And you could actually bounce. And I used to do all of that stuff, you know. And it's really beneficial. And you don't have to do it for a long time.
right.
That's what I like about it.
That's right.
And with this DVD, it could take you through the whole journey. The whole journey for every chakra would take about 45 minutes. Or you can pick and choose. And each track, it's only about 5 or 6 minutes. So you have 5
That's
minutes. Everybody does.
That's right.
So that's why I tried to make it easy, explain chakras, why you're doing it. And if you really follow along with that and you really do it, you can actually change your life. I really believe that. And that supercharged my life, because I was excited doing it. Working with Richie was just such a thrill on the project. And he put up with me too. So like Danny Coleman puts up with me, Rich Landa
Beautiful.
put up with me. And it just came out perfect. And then Jay Petsko got involved, and he did all the photography, by the way, and all the wonderful things you see there. And he was fantastic to work with, and he was into a lot of meditation, so he understood what I was. They helped me create what was inside my head that I couldn't do myself.
Beautiful.
Let's put it that way.
So, guys, we still have 15 minutes. We're coming to the close of the show. I'm going to have you also tell everybody again where they can get all your stuff.
Sure.
But what I want to say is this. You know, this is probably one of my, you know, I love all my shows, but I got to say, I was really, really, like, excited about this
Oh,
show
thank
because
you.
we have, you know, we're on such the same track with everything. You know, I cured myself of 2 cancers over 25 years ago. I changed my entire life. I am a vegan. Everything in my life is organic. You don't have to go to those extremes, okay? A majority of my diet is raw. Even my bed is organic. My mattress, my
wonderful.
cleaning supplies, what makeup, if I ever wear makeup, is like everything that goes on and in my body. On my body 100%, my home 100%, okay? You don't have to go to those extremes. But everybody out there, you have a choice. And no matter what it is you're struggling with, whether it's physical or mental, there's help out there. Either one of us, we can help you. Okay, you can get in touch with either one of us on Facebook. We can help you. There is hope. You are not powerless, guys. And the thing about fear, what I find, and this is why I asked you about fear, was a lot of people are afraid of change. And they're also afraid of taking those steps. And I'm not even sure if I think they're afraid of failure. I think they're just afraid of making change.
Right.
And, you know, we have something called the white coat syndrome in this country, where we think we have to look at the doctor and he, you know, what he says is, but there's a lot of politics with all that too, guys. And you know what? Sometimes they don't make the right decisions for us. So you are your own doctor. Listen to your body. Your body will tell you when something is wrong. We're here to guide you. I hope this show was informative to you guys. I mean, I really, really mean that from the bottom of my heart. If anyone out there is struggling with addiction or any disease or anything mental, we are all here to help and guide you. Okay, guys? And you don't have to do all raws. You don't have to become vegan. We can help you. At wherever you're at, we will meet you where you are at in life.
And you know what I also hear when people come in to my practice? This common statement I hear is, "You're my last resort."
We're always the last resort.
And we actually should be the first
That's
place
right.
that you come.
I love that. We are always the last resort.
Yes, I hear it all the
Okay.
time. And they're like, "I'm just going to give this a try." And that's what seems to work. And we're here to encourage you. Does everybody make a mistakes? You're making a lifestyle change for yourself. And you might not know how to do that. That's where we come in, because we can help give you the tools so you have your own toolbox. And you know what? Change doesn't happen overnight. It is a process. So don't be hard on yourself saying, "Oh, I got to do it all at once." You don't. You only have to change maybe one thing a day, and maybe not every day, just to make that change. And next thing you know, you'll empower yourself, and then get addicted to it, if you will, to make the changes in your life and see what works. But really, when you're looking at preventative care, it really should be number one. And I like what you said, excuse me, about the doctors, because I feel, you know, in our generations, you would go to the doctor, what they said was gospel, and they were God, if you will.
That's right.
Now I feel like you have a choice, and you can fire your doctor. If you don't like what they're saying to you, or you feel in your gut it is not right for you, go get a second opinion. Go get a third opinion. Call us. We'll help you too. And I do believe that there is a place, you know, for medicine, and I think East meets West really helps in when you're working integratively. And you'll find out that when you work integratively, and I wish most doctors would do that, and functional medicine is becoming very big right now. I love it. When you empower that, you don't have to go see them as much, you know? You go for your routine checkups, of course, but you'll notice you'll feel better. You'll look better. You know, you'll want to tell your story, and that becomes, you know, empowering. You become an inspiration to others through your own story. So if you don't like your doctor, find another one. You can fire your doctor. Just because you've been going to them for years, you know, you don't know.
So I want to thank you, girlfriend.
Thank you. I had so much fun. I
This
can't believe
was-
that went by so
I
fast.
told you it's going to fly by. Everybody's like an hour and a half, but it flies by. I love you.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
Thanks.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, and I'm
Okay.
proud to be here, and thank you for giving me this opportunity, really.
No.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here. So I want you to tell everybody out there how they can get your book, how they can reach you, your CD, everything.
Sure. My website is www.neoszoe, that's NEOSZOE.com. And Neozoe means new life in Greek, so that's why it's New Life Through Balanced Living. They can get me there. They can also find me on Facebook, and it's Facebook, Marianne Costello, or Neozoe. If you like the Facebook page, you can see how to get the book, the DVD, through the website, or you could call me directly at the office at 732-713-0123. So thank you.
Everybody out there, I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you, Cathy, for calling in.
Yes.
Okay, and Gino, it's a wrap.
Thank you.